Year of the Dragon. Look at this handsome guy. I'm going to show you how I did that. So let's start off with our base coat and show you my inspiration. So this is a new scarf that was just put out by Coach in collaboration with artist Lian Yang. It's stunning. I love it. I'm not sponsored by any of the products I'm using, but he's adorable. So I thought I'd stick him on my fingers. So what we have here is our base color and pattern all underneath him in his purples and pinks. So this base coat, I used this color from Nail Boo. Now I knew Nail Boo did dips, but I had no idea they did color, and I found this in Sally. It's called Nude Attitude, and it is the exact color of the base of that scarf. So before I get into the project, I wanted to just swatch it for you real quick because I was really impressed with this polish. First of all, that's a really nice brush. I was very happy with that brush. And the color is not drippy. It's kind of on the thicker side. The amount of pigment in it, this is one coat, and it is totally covering the end here. I mean, that's some great color. So let's put a second coat on, just because I always swatch 2 coats on my swatch sticks. But it really doesn't need it. I mean, that one coat was surprisingly nice. So I will definitely be buying some Nail Boo colors in the future. This was just really impressive. So there's our base color. Let's move on to our base pattern. So you see in the scarf the C pattern. So I wanted to do something similar to that. So I apologize if I blind you. I'm trying not to. But this pattern on this plate I really liked. It was kind of similar, very subtle. This pattern over here you can't see too well. It's closer to the C pattern, but I thought it was just too busy for a background. And then this plate from Maniology, that first one I got off of Amazon, this one's from Maniology, and this one has some of the Chinese motifs on it. So it's plate M252, and we are going to use our dragon up here in the corner. So see how he's all curled around himself? Well, we're going to use him a little differently, and then we'll pick up some of these flowers as well. So let's start with our base. We've got our plate, and even though I have my dentist paper, my waterproof dentist paper underneath here, I'm going to go ahead and grab a paper towel just to keep things clean and tidy. And again, I'm trying not to blind anybody. Now I always like to swipe from the outside, or from the inside of my plate to the outside. So I'm going to set up my plate so I can swipe and then move my plate left and swipe to the right, and move my plate left and swipe to the right, and keep things nice and clean. So our second color in our base, here are our options. We've got this color from Maniology. It is called Jack B361, and it is pretty close. It's a frosty color. And here we have an OPI color that is called 5 Golden Things. It is also very close, more glitter in that one. And then this one here from Essie, it's Essie Espressi, and it is Never Skip a Beat 105, and it is spot on the right color. So I totally lucked out on that pick right there. But I want to swatch all 3 just to make sure I know which one I want. So here they are with the pattern I intend to use. So the first one is the Essie Espressi, and this is the one up in that corner. I'm really impressed with the quality of the pigment in this. I got a really nice print with that one. Here, of course, is our Maniology, which is specifically designed for stamping. And of course, the color is beautiful. The pickup is terrific. And the last one here is my OPI color. So you can see it's not so great. Now the color is spectacular. I do intend to use this in the future for just painting my nails, but it doesn't pick up well in a stamp because the glitter is just a little too big for those fine lines. So I'm going with the Essie Espressi. It's a perfect match, and I think it's going to look great. So here's my stamper, my little swiping card. My stamper looks a little weird because it used to sit inside this container, and I got a nail polish remover, acetone, on it, and it permanently etched it, so now I can't see through it. So I grabbed this piece of acrylic from the stamping section of the craft store. I still have my lid, although I got acetone on that as well. But I took my silicone, I slapped it on that piece of acrylic, and it still works just fine. And it's a good thing if those little tiny ice cube stampers are too small for your hands. You can go ahead and swap it out for one of these little pieces of acrylic, and it works great. So as you can see, I went ahead and stamped all my other fingers. I left the last two to show everyone. I picked up my image, and I'm getting rid of the bits I don't want to transfer. And we're just going to go ahead and squish this on. Now you can't tell really easily here, but the image doesn't go all the way to the end of my fingernail because my fingernails are a little too long and I need to trim them back a little. But this means I'm going to have to stamp twice and just try and match up the pattern as best I can. It's not a big deal if it's not perfect because this is my base and I'm going to be adding things on top of it, so you're not really going to see any places where it's not perfect. There we go. And again, just bring those sides back down, make them stick. Clean up with our lint roller. Clean our plate with our nail polish remover. And we'll go ahead and do our thumb. So again, thumb, same issue. One stamping is not going to be big enough to cover my thumb, so I'm going to have to do it in 2 swipes here. Now these are my natural nails. I think I've said that in previous videos before. The secret is cuticle oil, cuticle oil, cuticle oil, and a little coat of gel on top. But you can see I need to clean everything up and do a second run. I did that one the perpendicular to my nail because I just got some nicer coverage. For those with longer nails, you'll find that a lot of these stamping plates are a little bit small, and sometimes you have to be creative like this. But I'm going to line up the pattern as best I can. Again, I'm not wearing too much because I'm going to put stuff on top of it. And push the sides down, make sure everything's stuck. And we're all done. So, moving on to the flowers. So I've already gone ahead and picked up some flowers on my silicone stamper and let it dry for a second. I'm going to be using some clear jelly stamper colors. So these are also stamping polishes. They just sell them in these little tiny bottles, which is great if you're just doing little tiny bits like this back painting I'm doing or some stamping. Maniology sells all of theirs in big ones. Here's my teeny tiny brush. So I do like the full-size bottles that Maniology sells. But these colors are also terrific too, and they have a ton of colors. So I'm getting a light pink on there first. I'm going for the center of my roses. Making sure to keep my brush nice and wet. If your brush starts to dry out while you're trying to back paint, there's a chance you could possibly pick the black image up off of the silicone, and that would kind of ruin it. So we'll get the centers of these filled in. looks pretty good. We'll get a little bit of the excess off the brush. I'm not worried about cleaning the brush because I'm jumping right in with my dark shimmery pink, and so we're just going to put pink on pink, and then I'll clean the brush before I get into my green for my leaves. So I'm just kind of dabbing it on here, trying to sort of stay within the lines. A little bit more. The only issue I have with the clear jelly stamper polishes in these little bottles is I keep knocking them over, which is why I keep making sure I have the lids on. If Clear Jelly Stampers listening, it would be terrific if you made a little ice cube tray kind of thing for them to sit in, just the colors you're using for your project. So maybe like, you know, 6 or 8 little squares that your little bottles for your project just drop right in, so you have a palette, if you will, of your bottles, and you don't keep knocking them over. I don't know why. Maybe these bottles are a little top heavy, but I do keep knocking them over. Drives me crazy. But let's finish up these roses so we can switch and get the green leaves on, and then I'll show you how this stamps. So here we go. Let's take a peek, see if we've got any gaps, any places that we missed. There might be a little spot I need to add a little more color into. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's move into our green. So 2 more of the Clear Jelly Stamper colors here. Make sure all my tops are on. So this white thing that I keep putting all the little puddles of color onto is just a tile I picked up from the hardware store. Nice, and it makes a great palette, easy to clean up, non-porous so the colors don't soak into it or anything like that. So I'm taking a light green and I'm putting a light green down the center of the leaves, and then I'm going to go in with the dark green and do the rest of the leaves in the dark green. So it'll give me a little bit of a 3D effect, kind of in the same way that I put the light pink inside the middle of the roses and the dark pink on the outside. And again, you know, these are really tiny and I'm getting them painted as best I can, but if it's not perfect, no one's gonna know. And I think this is just about it. There we go. So let's see what that mess looks like on the other side. Oh, that's good. So we'll let this dry for a sec, and then we'll go ahead and stamp it on. We're gonna stick it on my thumb. We'll put it right there. I think that'll look good. So let's clean up our brushes. Here I am back with my secret weapons. First of all, it's the paint on skin protector. You saw me using this before, and my Maniology sticky base coat. So if I was going to pick up a stamped image and immediately stamp it on my fingernail, I really don't need a sticky base coat, but because I painted this and let the whole thing dry, there's no way that's going to stick on my nail otherwise. So a sticky base coat is a secret weapon for this. There are other companies that make sticky base coats as well. I just really like the Maniology one. It's a nice big bottle, but there are other companies that have sticky base bonding base coats too. So it's a great thing to get your hands on. So here we go, we stamped it down. Give it a little press, make sure it's all stuck. And right here I've got this little bit on the end of my stamper that stayed stuck on the stamper, and I don't like the way this leaf right here is floating in space, so I'm going to stick it over here so my leaf is connected to the rest of the pattern again. And that was just a little bit that was hanging off the edge that wasn't going to be on my nail anyway. So there we are. That's what our flowers look like. Yay! All right, so this little gadget here, it's got a little blade on one end, it's got a scraper on the other. I'm going to use this to get all this bit that's over the edges separated from the main pattern, so when I take my skin protector off, I don't end up ripping the pattern up off my fingernail. Now, my little tool here is very dull, so whatever tool you use to do this with, make sure it's not a sharp blade. Mine is dull, and all I'm doing is very gently making sure that the skin protector that has the nail polish on it is not still connected to the pattern of nail polish that is on my fingernail. So just separating them a little bit, and then we can go ahead and peel off the skin protector. Again, I'm not using a sharp tool for that. You do not need a sharp tool. It's really easy. And we'll just roll it up and off. I'm rolling it away from the center of my nail, because again, if I rolled it towards the center of the nail, I could run the risk of peeling some of the image off, and I don't want to do that. So there we go. It needs a top coat, but we've got some pretty flowers on a cute little background. Okay, I've got a couple nails done. I didn't do them all because I need to know where to put the dragon, so I'll know where to put the rest of the flowers. So we're going in with our Maniology straight up black B171, which is a super awesome black stamping polish. Just the best. And we'll scrape across our dragon, grab our stamper, rock it over and pick up that image. Some people press straight down, some people rock. I think I'm a rocker, so that usually works best for me, but whatever works for you, just practice, figure it out on your own. So I'm getting rid of all of his tail that I don't want over his head on my finger, because the rest of his body is going to snake across the rest of my fingers, so I can't have it over his head and snaking across. So that's kind of how he's going to fit on that finger. So I really didn't need any of that on the stamper anyway. But let's go ahead and clean things up. So I've got my nail polish remover, and then we'll go in and we'll paint this guy. I will do it again to show you the painting process, and we'll stick him on and see how it looks. Just tidy up a little bit. And then let's go ahead and get in here with our flowers. So our light pink goes on first, and then we'll come in with that dark pink. Again, clear jelly stamper has a ton of colors. And just like we did before, we're just dabbing this on right on top of that light pink that we did. And it's okay if we go beyond the image because it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna be on my nail anyway. Let's get our greens. Go in with those leaves. They're super teeny tiny, but we're gonna do them anyway. Just little blips and blobs of the green. You can't even see what I'm doing right now. They're so little. So I've got my skin protector on there. The skin protector is not completely dry, but the sticky base coat is, and that's the important bit. So we're gonna go ahead and stick him on now that I've fully painted him. I just saved you from having to watch me fully paint him because you know how it works. So let's figure out how to stick him on here. Now, as you can see, one of those roses isn't even gonna touch my nail. So it has come off of my nail and stayed on the stamper. So has part of his tail and his claw, which wasn't planned, but I'm going to take that flower, I'm going to stick it on the bottom. Then I can go back and take that little bit of his tail that didn't make it on and press it in, and then come around and reattach his claw. And the reason I can do this is because I used a sticky base coat. So again, because this is an intricate pattern, it's back painted. Yeah, he's super. I needed that sticky base coat. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my nails. But there's one more thing I want to show you first. I'm going to isolate his tail, or his body, so I can drag it across the rest of my nails. So I'm going to put my polish on the plate just where his body is. Then we'll swipe and pick it up all the same, and I'll get rid of just those little bits that I don't want, isolating the image, and I'll paint it, and we will be good to keep moving on. And there we are. There's our dragon hiding in the roses.